Hey there, a very happy Friday to you. Thank you so much for joining us on Weather Out West. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz. Here's what we're tracking for you on this Friday. The Northwest is about to get soaked. An atmospheric river moves in this weekend with multiple rounds of rain, wind, and snow up in the mountains. We'll have those details coming up. And in today's show, a wild bear sneaks in to hang out with some zoo bears, and a bald eagle gets stuck on a pickup truck's grill. Also, we'll take a look at how researchers at the University of Vermont are working on technology to transform cow manure into a cleaner burning fuel. And later, our Environment Northwest team shows us how old technology could open the door for a direct phone line to orcas. And once again, we want to thank you so much for joining us on this Friday for Weather Out West. If you haven't joined us before, this is an hour-long show where we showcase what's happening weather-wise across the western United States. And I mentioned an atmospheric river is headed to the northwest. Over the weekend, it's going to bring rounds of rain, not just rain, but heavy rain, some strong wind gusts, and mountain snow. So today we're going to start in Seattle, where the rain's already moving in, and this is only the beginning. Rich Marriott has everything you need to know.
Hi, I'm King 5 meteorologist Rich Marriott. Well, we made it to Friday. Congratulations. But if you're in the Pacific Northwest, especially around Western Washington, it's going to be a wet and stormy weekend headed our way. We're underway this morning. We watched the front, an atmospheric river with a series of weather systems embedded in it. They're going to move through over the weekend. First one on its way in right now. We're seeing that rain really fill in mid-morning on Friday, filling in the Puget Sound. It's going to be wet up and down the Sound until later this afternoon when this back edge out there actually will move through and changes just a few off and on showers later tonight and into early on Saturday. But that's going to be followed immediately by yet another one rippling up that atmospheric river that's going to keep us wet pretty much through the weekend until we can finally get a little bit of a break as we head towards Monday. Looking out this morning there in the Bellingham area, you can see the camera moving around, a lot of ripples on the water. We've been seeing wind gusts up there up to about 35 miles per hour pretty uniformly, and basically about 25 to 35 miles per hour from about Everett northward. You can see the Everett Tower Cam also moving around, not doesn't look quite as windy there, and it shouldn't be for that matter. And looking at our wind gusts from our SchoolNet sites, see we had a 41 mile per hour gust. That's gone up there in Ferndale at Horizon Middle School. Bellingham, the Franklin Academy, a 31 mile per hour wind gust, and there in Everett as you come south, not quite as strong. St. Mary Magdalene School had a wind gust of 21 miles per hour. Checking the Tacoma Tower Cam, it's moving around now. It was pretty quiet earlier, but it's picked up a little bit as that front gets farther into Puget Sound. And looking at Snoqualmie Pass, our new camera there showing bare pavement, no problems across the passes. Not expecting to see snow at Snoqualmie Pass, which is around 3,000 feet until we head towards late Saturday night or early on Sunday. However, as a side note for you, both Highway 410 and Highway 123, Cayuse and Chinook passes are closing as of 10 a.m. this morning for the winter. So that's the east side of Mount Rainier. So if you were planning on using those passes anytime soon, you're going to have to wait until spring to have that opportunity. But we're on the other passes that remain open. We're going to be watching for some snow as we head further into the weekend. Checking the view there out along the coast of Westport. It's been raining since about 2 o'clock in the morning out there, and they could pick up anywhere from about 1 to 3 inches along the coastal beaches over the next 24 to 36 hours. First Alert 7-day forecast does show the series of storms over the weekend, giving us first alert weather days for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So Friday and Saturday, that's going to be due to heavy rain at times and gusty winds. We have all the leaves in the trees and new growth on them, and so we could see plugged drains around the cities with standing water on some of the roadways, or some of those limbs might take out a power line here and there, so we might see some spotty power outages. Not looking for anything widespread, but we're just making that adjustment from basically summertime to wintertime weather, and the ground has to move along with it. So we'll keep close watch on that. And then as we head into Sunday, we're going to continue to see some rain around Puget Sound, some showers, but we're going to be in the mountains, see those snow levels down to about 3,000 feet, which is going to start to pile up snow there at Snoqualmie Pass as early as late Saturday night, and then maybe during the day on Sunday, that snow will continue. One thing to note, though, is we're going to be headed across North Cascades Highway. They may start to have problems with snow on the road on Saturday, so check the DOT past reports before you head across the mountains. They're not reporting regularly yet, but if there's any major disruptions, they'll note that on their website. Checking the satellite image, you can see the back edge of the system just off the coast. That's going to move through late this afternoon, early this evening. We're going to get a pause overnight tonight for this next developing system out here coming across on that atmospheric river is going to push in here with increasing rain tomorrow morning. It's going to turn into a wet and kind of blustery afternoon on Saturday. That front will be moving through Saturday night with probably the strongest winds of the weekend will be happening as we head towards Saturday night, and then we'll look for things to calm down a little bit as we head into Sunday. Overall, the National Weather Service has issued a winter weather advisory. That's from 11 o'clock on Saturday night through 11 o'clock on Sunday night because of that snowfall up in the mountains probably impacting travel. And we have a wind advisory in place there for the northern counties today until about 2 o'clock this afternoon, when the winds should be winding down and taking a little bit of a break before more arrives later Saturday. Checking the snow levels, you can see still pretty high today, 7,000 feet. Tomorrow dropping down to where you see some snow probably on North Cascades Highway. Might see a little bit around Stevens and White Pass, but shouldn't really affect them. And then on Saturday night to Sunday, down to that 3,000 foot level, which will affect Snoqualmie Pass. In fact, all the mountain highway passes. And then we do rebound a little bit as we head into next week. If we take a look at the snow total starting Saturday night, you can see we do start to pile it up on into Sunday night at 5 o'clock. Anywhere from about 3 to 6 inches of snow, and not a lot of snow, but people are not used to driving in it, so that potentially could be a problem and probably slow down traffic across the passes as you're heading back home at the end of your weekend, if you're headed across the Cascades anyway. So for today, we're going to see that rain around, turning to off and on showers this evening. It's breezy this morning, but the winds are going to diminish for this afternoon. Upper 50s for the highs. Increasing rain during the morning tomorrow. It's going to be really wet for the Husky game tomorrow afternoon. Breezy in the afternoon and evening on Saturday. Probably the strongest winds of the weekend. Rain continues on Sunday. We'll look for some mountain snow, as we were saying, with snow levels at 3,000 feet. Off and on showers Monday. Increasing rain again later Tuesday. A rainy and blustery day again Wednesday. Showers on Thursday and temperatures in the low to mid 40s. We definitely are in a fall weather pattern.
And the same story in Portland. Heavy rain, gusty winds, mountain snow. Chris McGinnis is breaking it all down for you in today's forecast.
Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Chris McGinnis in for Rod Hill again today. We are in the first of 2 KGW weather impact alert days for increasing rain and wind. Saturday's system will likely be stronger with a wind gust than Friday's, but Friday's, our afternoon commute is going to be a slog, I think, and I'll walk you through that with Futurecast in just a second. And the other element to this is eventually some pretty heavy Cascade snow, especially late Saturday night through early Monday morning, and we'll talk more about that in a minute as well. I'm tracking essentially 3 distinct weather features. The atmospheric river, the fire hose, if you will, is pointed to the Pacific Northwest this morning. So this is the leading edge of that, just now washing ashore. It's been raining at the beach. It's now raining across parts of the Portland metro area already, and that rain will continue to pick up in intensity here as we roll through the day today. So that's the first piece of this. The second piece out here over the North Pacific, and the third piece will develop off of that piece on Sunday. So 1, 2, 3 in a row with periods of rain and wind and mountain snow. How much rain are we looking at? Models have been pretty consistent, 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rain for Friday, Saturday, Sunday cumulatively for the I-5 corridor and the Willamette Valley. Don't get too fixated on the exact number, the exact city. These will vary a little bit, but this gives you a general idea. Obviously more than that, maybe 50%, 80% more at the coast. And in the higher terrain, that will translate to snow with winter weather advisories. I'll show you those in just a second. All right, in terms of today, the gustiest winds are likely to be east slopes of the Cascades through the Columbia Basin and across portions of eastern Oregon as well. Wind advisory there until 11 p.m. Friday for gusty south winds. We will feel that south wind here in the metro area as well. Storm system number 2, depending on how close and how deep that low pressure gets, has prompted high wind warnings along the Oregon coast for Saturday. So this is for Tillamook and for Tillamook, Lincoln, Lane counties and Point South from 8 a.m. until 11 p.m. on Saturday. We'll also feel some of that wind in the Willamette Valley. The first system coming through today, a gusty south breeze on the order of about 30 miles an hour with some of the peak gusts and maybe 40 to 45 at the coast. So breezy, but not, overly windy. Overnight tonight, we get a lull, and then storm system number 2 gets cranking tomorrow. And look at this. Winds gusting 55 to 60 along the Oregon coast, and maybe some 40-plus mile-an-hour wind gusts if things work out just right in the Willamette Valley. trees that still have their leaves on them getting soaked with rain and then getting blown around with 30 to 40 mile-an-hour winds does prompt at least some concern for downed tree limbs and possible power outages. The last feature to the storm, of course, is the winter weather up in the Cascades. A winter weather advisory is in effect from 11 a.m. on Saturday through 5 a.m. on Sunday. Now, the snow level may bounce around a little bit on Saturday, but eventually Saturday night and Sunday is when it finally settles down around 3,500 to 4,000 feet. So that means Cascade passes will turn wintry consistently on Sunday. Government Camp, Santiam Pass will likely be snow covered for any travel on Sunday. The breeze already picking up out of the south. You can see the top of the Umpqua Bank building there from our Wells Fargo sky camera. 56 at PDX. The plan for today has us right near 60. Increasing rain and wind today. Same story tomorrow with rain and periods of gusty winds. And the shower threat lingers into Sunday with very cool temperatures to wrap up the weekend.
Take a look at this. This little guy caused quite a stir on I-5 in Washington Wednesday morning. State troopers say they got 911 calls about a kitten stranded on the shoulder near Tacoma. They found him hiding under a concrete barrier and they rushed him to the vet for a checkup. He's perfectly fine, and one trooper has already stepped up to take care of him. And as you see right there, he takes him in and then he was meowing and the state trooper was meowing back. It's just perfect love. And then in Minnesota, this bald eagle goes for a ride on a woman's pickup truck. The eagle got stuck on the front of this truck, and Cindy says she slowed down on the highway to get a better look at the bird, but then it flew right into the front of her car, and she checked the mirrors. The bird was nowhere to be found. But when she was able to stop, she found the bird, and its feet were stuck in the grill. Then she wanted to make sure she didn't ruffle anyone's feathers, and just about an hour later, you see right there, a Department of Natural Resources officer rescued it. And once again, the bird had its independence. So yes, it was finally free and in good shape as well. So coming up after the break, how this atmospheric river is going to impact Spokane and Idaho. Welcome back to Weather Out West. And before we get back to the forecast, let's talk about a product that is abundant on a dairy farm, cow poop. Yes, we're talking about cow poop. Researchers at the University of Vermont are working on technology to transform cow manure into a cleaner burning fuel. The method could offer an alternative to current methane production systems, and currently about 15 Vermont farms use systems called anaerobic digesters to convert manure to methane gas, which the farms then use to power equipment or sell as renewable natural gas. But methane is a potent greenhouse gas that many environmentalists want to produce less of. The researchers are working to build a photoreactor to turn the cow manure into something greener. They say when completed, the reactor should interrupt an anaerobic digester's manure processing, turning it into propane rather than methane. The project is funded by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. All right. So if you're in Boise, Friday is going to be your day to get things done outside because the rain is coming Saturday morning. Hector Mendoza has the timeline for when you can expect it.
Well, the past couple of days have been absolutely fantastic with warm temperatures. We've seen those fall colors on those trees and crystal blue skies there. Mark Jackson posted this on our Idaho Weather Watchers Facebook page of the view there in downtown Boise. So thank you so much for posting that. And we're going to expect to see a little bit more of those drier conditions in for today. But look at those temperatures yesterday, mid to upper 60s, getting very close to those 70 degrees there in Ontario and Caldwell. If you look at the mountains, we got into the upper 50s and pretty similar out in the Magic Valley, but that's going to continue just for today as it'll be our last dry day of the season here as we go on into the next couple of days, as we are going to see a little bit more of those showers. These were the views that we saw early on this morning, so that continued on in for today. But again, after today, we do have a major system that comes in that brings rain, snow. Those winds will start to pick up, and we're also going to cool down in terms of afternoon temperatures. Showers look to stick around there in through Monday, but it looks like it starts to die down just a little bit before we see another drying trend that comes along into the middle of next week. It's going to be this system that we're going to pay attention to off the Gulf of Alaska that's going to make its trek on through. That's also going to tap into this plume of moisture that we can see here that's going to bring in a lot more of that rain, and that's what's going to really start to amplify some of those snow showers and rain that we're expecting to see here for the weekend. And that cold front is also going to bring along that initial spark for some of those showers. And just to start off here this afternoon, we also have a wind advisory. We're going to stay breezy for the Treasure Valley, but spots there in the Owyhee Mountains have a wind advisory set into place all the way through Saturday evening, and that is due to some of the gusty winds that could get up to 50 miles per hour here towards the rest of this afternoon. Possibly see that into tomorrow, and we're seeing that shaded in that sort of tan color all the way through southeast Oregon as well. So those winds are really going to start to ramp up. So the biggest thing to look forward to is going to be those showers. So making sure to have that umbrella handy, a coat, a hooded jacket, and those rain boots as we have lots of wet weather coming along. So this is our future cast. This is looking here on in through Friday. Those breezy winds will continue through the afternoon. The thing that'll start to show some of that system coming in is going to be those initial clouds that we start to see here through tonight. That'll start to pick up through tomorrow in through the morning, and then by the time we get to around 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning, we're going to start to see a lot more of that rain start to fill in places here in southwest Idaho, starting off with areas in Canyon County, continuing all the way down in through Boise, and we're going to see some of those west central mountain spots also continue to see a little bit more of those higher elevation snow in through the morning, and then it's just going to become more widespread as we get towards the afternoon. Breezy conditions do continue for the Treasure Valley in through tomorrow, and as that cold front continues, we see another push as we're going to start to see through Saturday afternoon, seeing a lot more of the Magic Valley, seeing some of that rain, and then all the way through Sunday, we expect to see a little bit more of that start to come through. And as those temperatures start to drop, we'll see a lot more of that snow really start to stack up in portions of the mountains, and we'll continue to add on and stack up a little bit more of that precipitation as we're going to get close to about a half an inch possible here through places in the Treasure Valley. And a lot of these numbers that we're seeing here is a mixture of some of the rain we're expecting in through early Saturday and a lot more of that snow that could be possible. So here's some of the totals that we're going to be looking at: around 2 to 4 inches out in McCall, 6 to 8 inches all the way through Monday as we look at Stanley, and above 6,500 feet, a possibility of a foot of snow is there as we continue on. So that is why we have first alert weather conditions for the weekend. We'll continue with some stray showers in through Monday, and then we'll climb up and stay dry all the way through Wednesday.
And if you live in eastern Washington and you're planning anything outdoors this weekend, you might want to hear the forecast first. Spokane's Nicole Hernandez is tracking a chilly and rainy one.
I'm Nicole Hernandez in Spokane, Washington. Right now we have a live look over Silver Mountain. You can see the camera shaking just a tiny bit. That's indicative of the winds that are heading our direction very quickly for today. For now, we've got blue skies with just a little bit of cloud cover. Those clouds are going to build out even more as the day continues. Today, we are mostly dry, but we are windy. Rain starts tonight, and then we are cold and we are rainy for the rest of your weekend. Those winds strong enough this afternoon that there are wind advisories in effect from the National Weather Service. This is for eastern Washington and central Washington. North Idaho here, basically on the edge of whether or not you should be under a wind advisory. It will be windy. The National Weather Service has said that they will keep track of the data and then decide whether or not they want to include North Idaho as we get closer to the wind actually hitting. These wind advisories for right now go into effect this afternoon, and they last at least until 11 p.m. tonight. I actually wouldn't be surprised if the National Weather Service increases the time of that and makes it last at least into some of Saturday, because those winds will stick around for Saturday as well. Gusts upwards of 45 miles per hour today. In central Washington, they're going to be more sustained winds. Here in eastern Washington and North Idaho, they're more localized bursts, but again, reaching that potential of 45 mile per hour gusts. Very similar on Saturday in terms of how strong the winds are going to be, but the wind direction shifts a little bit. You can see some of those more localized areas getting stronger winds as opposed to it being more widespread. The thing that's causing all of this, the wind and then eventually the rain, is this low pressure system. It is moving its way into the region right now. By this afternoon, it hits, and that's what brings our wind. This is where it lands for Saturday. You can see a big bulk of rain moving its way through Saturday, and it sticks around for Sunday as well. The difference on Sunday is we're colder, so we get a chance for mountain snow. Our snow levels will be at 3,500 feet. So some passes like Washington Pass and Stevens Pass could get between 6 and 10 inches of snow from that Sunday moisture. That was big picture. Let's look details now. This is 9 p.m. tonight on Friday, and you can see we've got the beginnings of that rain moving its way through the region. By Saturday, we get the biggest bulk of our more intense rain. The red, the yellow, that's very intense rain moving its way through. Then by Sunday, we start to see that chance for the mountain snow. It's going to be cooler up in the mountains, and that's why we see that. The National Weather Service says there is a chance for the attempt at snow, a wet snow, to fall in some of our higher up valleys down to about 2,500 feet. But if that does happen, it wouldn't cause any major effects or anything like that. But this is really where we see that even chance for snow across our region. More than we've seen anytime recently. We are heading into winter. Anyways, we look forward to the rest of the week. Today is the warmest day that we have, 62 degrees, so enjoy it. We dip down in temperatures pretty quickly for this weekend as this cold front moves its way in. And then Monday, cooler yet again. We stay cool for the next few days.
Coming up after the break, meteorologist Leah Pizzetti with our Environment Northwest team shows us how old technology could open the door for a direct phone line to orcas. A new use for old technology could open the door for a direct phone line to orcas, unlocking what could be some of the best marine mammal tracking yet. Meteorologist Leah Pizzetti with our Environment Northwest team shows us how it works.
One single new underwater cable is making a splash in marine mammal research. This 2-kilometer-long fiber optic cable, funded by Allen Family Philanthropies, is now sitting on the seafloor just off the San Juan Islands, one that's similar to others already around the Sound.
There are fiber optic cables everywhere. That's why we get internet. But we can use the same fiber for monitoring marine mammals.
But Dr. Shima Abadi with the University of Washington Bothel's School of Oceanography says this one is a first of its kind because of its intended use. Cables like this have already been used to measure low-frequency signals like earthquakes and tsunamis, but scientists want to know if it can measure the high-frequency sounds orcas make, and if they can tap into the network of fiber optic cables already in place.
We can basically use all the fiber optic cables that are in either Puget Sound or some other locations and use them as a new platform for passive acoustics monitoring of marine mammals.
Here's how it works. Laser pulses throughout the cable will measure if there's any strain along the cable, which could be caused by acoustic sounds like vessels or marine animals.
We are using light to listen to their sound.
President of Beam Research, Dr. Scott Veers, says this gives much better insight to orca movements compared to the hydrophones used now.
The goal of this project is not just to determine if the fiber optic cable can hear killer whale calls, but we want to see if we can then locate or localize where the call came from. So that's something you can't do with just one hydrophone in the water. But the DAS cable we just deployed here is 2 kilometers long, and we can break that up into virtual hydrophones, hundreds, even thousands of them. So it's like having thousands of ears in the water all at once, being able to say, oh, not only do I hear a killer whale, but it's up there at that latitude and longitude and that depth. Oh, and then it called again. Now it's a little deeper.
Location knowledge that will help people steer clear of orcas, wherever they should go.
And that could help with understanding like long-term policies, like, oh, they're always foraging here. Well, maybe we should make a preserve in this area. Or they're heading north. Well, that means it's okay to do some pile driving to the south.
For Environment Northwest, I'm meteorologist Leah Pizzetti.
Coming up, while the atmospheric river takes aim at the west coast, not everyone's getting soaked. We'll tell you what Sacramento and San Diego can expect. And a California zoo had a very unexpected visitor to one of its bear enclosures recently. We'll have all that and more when we come back. Welcome back to Weather Out West. We'll have more forecasts for you coming up, but first we wanted to share this story with you. The Sequoia Park Zoo in Eureka, California is home to many wild animals, including several bears, and some of which, according to the park's director, were placed in captivity strategically. after being deemed unsuitable for release into the wild. 3 of those bears got a taste of the wild side when a wild black bear snuck into the park and mingled with the enclosed bears through a fence. Check them out there. Officials say the visiting bear was polite, curious, and not aggressive, and they suspect it made its way in using its tree climbing skills, which a normal activity of its residents bears. You see them all just enjoying the enclosure there, and park workers later opened a gate and the wild bear eventually wandered out. The social media users got a kick out of the furry trespasser's adventure and shared some silly suggestions for the unexpected visit. And staying in California, after that nice little smile, we'll head up to the northern side of California. Sacramento's not completely in the clear from the atmospheric river. Monica Woods has what you need to know.
I'm meteorologist Monica Woods, and we are still tracking that active weather pattern for the weekend forecast. For our Friday, we're just going to see the increase in cloud cover coming in for the coast, the valley, as well as the foothills, and cooler than average temperatures continue in the outlook as well. Getting ready for snow in this year. Not a ton of accumulation, but again, a shift in our weather pattern. It's been quite lovely Thursday and Friday, continuing to see mostly clear skies, but you can see the band of clouds just off the coast here. And that's what's going to be moving our way. Now we have that band of rain that's associated with the atmospheric river, but day by day it continues to showcase more of a northward trajectory. So even into Southern California, really struggling to pull out any precipitation from this. Here's how things are starting off our weekend. You can see that band of rain just kind of hugging that I-80 line, the bulk of the rain along the northwest coast and along the California-Oregon border. Beyond that, it's just going to be a hit or miss shower throughout the day. Not a complete washout, but just be prepared for those outdoor plans to be, unfortunately, looking at some showers coming through. And some showers continue for the Tahoe Basin and north of I-80 into our Saturday evening. A little bit of a break, but the back edge of this still to pull through on Sunday and even into early Monday. As far as accumulation, the big bulk of this is going to be mostly in through extreme northern California. So we get this atmospheric river coming through with a couple pulses of moisture, but it's just not going to be a direct hit with big impacts throughout central and southern California. So our futurecast rain totals, this is going to take us through Monday, are pretty lean, especially through the capital region, only about 1/10 of an inch or so. A mix of rain or snow for the Tahoe Basin, but that snow line is starting off pretty high, not really coming down to the pass level until we get to Sunday. And at that part, we're actually in the weaker part of the storm. So total accumulation on the very minor to even no impact range. Much bigger impacts again as we head farther to the north with closer to about 1 inch along the coast of precipitation, totaling all in all about 2 inches by the time we roll through some of those smaller pockets. So some very isolated areas will still get about 2 inches of rain along the northwest coast. Let's talk temperatures. It is our Friday and still a beautiful day to be out and about in north and central California. We're in the 60s for the Tahoe Basin, 70s down the hill, and this is where we're seeing some of the prettiest color here throughout the central part of the state. As we move in towards the central Sierra, kind of lost a lot of that color for the higher elevations. We're in the 60s for Yosemite. Down the hill, we've got highs in the 70s, so we'll be right around the mid 70s for our Friday afternoon and pretty close to average actually. Overnight lows, though, are chilly. It is sweater weather for sure in the morning hours. We're in the 60s and 70s along the central coast. That, of course, includes Carmel at 62 degrees, Soledad at 76. And as we move through the Central Valley, we're in the upper 70s. Overnight lows, though, are going to drop into the 50s, so quite a contrast from those morning lows and afternoon highs. Bay Area forecast clouds increasing for our Friday afternoon highs in the 60s, 70s inland. We'll pick up on some rain Friday afternoon for the central coast and the northwest coast, and then kind of moving its way southward throughout the overnight hours Friday into early Saturday. And you can see those highs in the 70s there throughout the capital region. A cooler outlook for the end of our weekend. We are going to see some shifts in our weather pattern coming our way over the weekend, but then pretty nice weather actually next week heading into Halloween.
And in San Diego, the weather's going to stay pretty quiet. Just a small cool down this weekend before summer-like temps return next week. Here's Evan Noorani with the forecast details.
Well, hi, everyone. I'm Evan Irani in San Diego, where we are starting off another beautiful day. A little bit of fog in the morning stretch, and then by this afternoon, hey, what do you know? More sunshine in the mix. We've got temperatures mostly in the 70s and 80s, making a brief return to more summer-like temperatures, at least across our valley floors. And then as we get through the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, those temperatures sink down a bit more before another warm-up comes into next week. What we've noticed over the last 2 weeks or so is it has been this constant up and down and up and down and up and down for our temperatures. Last weekend, the one we wrapped up about 5 days ago, we saw summer-like conditions. That kind of lasted into Monday. Then Tuesday, a trough of low pressure slid in. Since Tuesday, we've been trying to recover. Yesterday, temperatures were about average. Today, they're above average in a couple cases. Ramona, El Cajon, for example, 85 degrees. Normal is about 80. So just goes to show that today does present some warming, but it's a one-day only trend because after today, those temperatures sink back down. A lot of 70s out by the coast, 80s as you make your way inland. The trough of low pressure that is off to our east is affecting temperatures out toward Denver and everywhere east, really. Wichita, Omaha, as you can see, even some rain scattered on our radar. But for our weekend, we're going to see more of an influence from this trough of low pressure. Then, as we get into next week, this ridge starts to build overhead. And boy, it'll take us to more summer-like temperatures rather quickly. We've got it building through Tuesday and Wednesday, and then watch how it amplifies into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, blocking us out from all the wet weather across the Pacific Northwest. We instead will hold on to not only dry skies, but gradually warming temperatures into the Halloween weekend. Here's what we see across the country for this afternoon. There are plenty of spots everywhere north of just about the entire southern stretch of the U.S. where temperatures this afternoon are in the 50s. Got a couple 60s out there. But for the southern U.S., widespread 70s and 80s that we'll enjoy. 72 in San Diego, 87 in Houston, up in Minneapolis, a high of 51 today, and in Seattle, 53 degrees. When we look at the 7-day forecast, though, like I mentioned, that ridge of high pressure starting to show its strength. We've got warmer temperatures going into the middle of next week, 79 degrees or so. We are also going to transition toward more and more sunny skies and leave the clouds behind. So we'll start to see that transition occur likely by Monday. Still partly cloudy skies, temperatures barely on the warmer side of average. It's more noticeable into Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And like I said, while right now we don't have Friday, Halloween, Saturday, Sunday, the Halloween weekend in the 7-day forecast, we will by Monday, and that'll be a great day to join us to be able to go into more specificity as to whether or not we're going to see the summer-like weather prevail going into the next weekend, Halloween weekend. Temperatures cool down this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, mid-70s. We warm right back up by Tuesday and Wednesday, 87 or so degrees into Tuesday and Wednesday. Across the mountains and deserts, hey, more wet weather is in the forecast for the Pacific Northwest as we get kind of blocked out of all of that wet weather. We in San Diego are going to enjoy dry weather. We have dry skies through this weekend, all the way through next week, no wet weather in the foreseeable future, and plenty of sunshine on the way.
Sunny San Diego. Coming up next, we're going to check in with our weather teams in Phoenix and Denver for their forecast. Denver, soak up this weekend. Sun, clouds, and right around 70 degrees. But don't get too comfortable. A cool down's coming next week. Kathy Sabin and Katie LaSalle have those details.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin. A fun week of weather. We have had beautiful fall weather with sunshine and 70s. We've had sunrise and sunset pictures that look like a work of art or a painting. And now we're tracking a storm. Look how pretty this center of circulation is over southwestern Colorado. This is a part of Colorado that's been suffering through an extreme drought. So to see this system rolling our way, bringing rain and snow, thunder, lightning, thunder, snow. It's really been fun to watch. It hasn't had a big impact, so folks seem to be enjoying the wet weather. And eventually some of those showers will move into Denver, but as this system tracks into Oklahoma and Texas, the potential for flooding and stronger, if not severe weather, is certainly possible from Dallas to Houston. We have the next system coming on shore in the Pacific Northwest in about 72 hours. That'll be a mountain snow producer for us. And unlike the system that's moving out today, additional accumulation is expected expected. This was a light snow producer. No winter weather or travel advisories were posted. Denver got to see a brief shower, a bit of cloud cover, but again, not a big impact for us. Today, another mild day, a mix of cloud and sun. We start in the 40s, warm to the mid 60s. This would be seasonal afternoon highs after highs 10 to 15 degrees above average for most of the week. 65 today, 72 tomorrow, almost 70 Sunday. A bit cooler heading into the beginning of next week with a bit of mountain snow and wind, a few showers in Denver, and then temperatures in the 50s. Halloween is next Friday, and daylight saving time ends on Sunday, so we all get an hour of sleep, an extra hour of sleep next weekend.
I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team's Katie LaSalle. A weak disturbance rolled over the state early Friday, and we will be left with a little more cloud coverage in spots. And we did pick up some moisture for you for places like Buena Vista, but skies will gradually clear from the mountains to the plains, and this weekend is looking lovely. Dry conditions and slightly warmer than average temperatures. I want to take you, though, to our most recent drought monitor. We have seen a lot of precipitation, especially over southwestern Colorado in the last several weeks. This morning we picked up some shower activity, but you can see we are completely out of drought over the southwestern corner of the state, from Durango, Pagosa Springs, Alamosa, in downtown Denver as well, but south into Highlands Ranch, still dealing with some moderate drought conditions, and we could absolutely use slightly more precipitation into our central mountains, and we are bracing for it. So looking ahead at our regional futurecast here over the state, Saturday, it is sunny skies and mild temperatures, but we will be watching this next storm system rolling in from the west-northwest, set to bring in some more widespread precipitation, colder air, and more accumulating snow in the high country. For the Denver area, though, we are going to be rounding out the month of October, it looks like, with no snow yet. So for tomorrow, it's going to be sunshine, warmer temperatures, building cloud coverage. We are officially 1 week out from Halloween. Best chance for any precipitation will arrive Sunday night into Monday in the form of rain, upper 30s for lows. 62 degrees to start the week. It will cool down Tuesday and Wednesday, but it's looking like a dry system for us. Thursday, temperatures rebound to the 60s, and then as we look ahead to Halloween, it is leaning mild and dry. Temperatures set to be in the 50s to low 60s. It will be a little bit colder, as you saw Tuesday and Wednesday, but as we look, it's still about a week away. But for our trick-or-treaters out there, mostly clear and cool. It's that time of the year where, of course, you want to have that jacket just in case on top of all those costumes. But our average high is 57 on Halloween in Denver. Typically, we see lows in the low 30s. Staying above that, chance of snow 12%. It's not looking like we have the chance for snow for 2025 on this Halloween.
And temperatures are going up this weekend in Phoenix. Ginger Jeffries breaks down the numbers in today's forecast.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries with a look at your weather out west across Arizona, where certainly this week we've seen a couple of extremes. We've dealt with some wind, we picked up some measurable rainfall, we saw temperatures in the 90s, and now we are leveling off just below the normal range. So we are having what I call Chamber of Commerce style conditions, and everybody is enjoying the nice clear evenings. I mean, as our evenings cools, our daytime highs are going to follow, but folks are just reveling in the fact we got through summer and we are finally settling into some true fall-like weather. So what does that look like across Arizona on a Friday? Oh, not too shabby. Flagstaff, 61 degrees today. I've got 68 in Payson. We'll still see a couple of clouds dotting the higher elevations, primarily through the rim. Otherwise, it's going to be nice, clear, sunny, and dry. We've got 80 today in Tucson, about 91 in Yuma, and 91 in Havasu. Overhead here in Phoenix, our normal range, 87, but we're going to see numbers right at about 85. So it's time to look at the all-important weekend. Will this beautiful weather pattern hold? You bet. In fact, temperatures are going to continue to be right where they're supposed to be this time of the year. Now, one thing you'll notice from today into tomorrow, yep, numbers start to climb slightly. Then into Sunday, yes, this trend continues. We are seeing a little bit of a work week warm up next week, but all in all, it's just going to keep us pretty close to where we should be. Now, yesterday, we saw a little bit of wind. Winds were getting up to 27 miles an hour in the higher elevations. Of course, we didn't have a high wind advisory. That just doesn't meet advisory's criteria. But today, even by 2:30, which typically we would start to see a little bit of wind response, you can see we are nice and calm. The reason for this? High pressure. High pressure bring around high temperatures, but also keeping all the moisture in the jet stream well to the north of us. So you can see, certainly, there is some active weather rolling into the Pacific Northwest, but courtesy of this dome of high pressure, all that moisture is going to stay to the north. We'll start start to see a little bit of clouds dropping into play, I'd say, by about Sunday. But all in all, we are going to stay the course, which means clear skies until about Sunday, calm conditions, and temperatures exactly where they're supposed to be. In fact, I'll just continue to watch this next week. I mean, if it gets a little bit closer, as you can see, it's kind of pushing through Utah. If it gets closer, we'll see a little change up. We might get some showers. That wind will pick up. But again, it's right now staying to the north of us, so I'll keep you posted next week. Until that time, hey, let's feast on these high temperatures. Not bad, Mesa. About 83 degrees for you. I've got 85 in Glendale, 86 in Buckeye. So plenty of sun on this Friday. Sunrise at 6:40 this morning. Tonight, we are going to enjoy clear skies, which will continue to allow those numbers to come down. And even though I am talking about a little bit of a warm up, we're not getting up into that record territory. And just to kind of put this in a frame of reference, yesterday we were at 84. Today we're going for 85. Without much wind, high pressure will continue to warm us up. So what does that look like over the grand scheme of things? Well, 7-day forecast shows, yep, we're going to be bouncing around upper 50s to low 60s. All in all, Flagstaff, you've got some great snowmaking conditions overnight for the valley. Here's that work week warm up I was talking about next week. Numbers are going to be climbing above our normal range, but really 90 to 91 degrees, even though it's kind of late season. Hey, it's nothing all that out of the ordinary for us.
We'll be right back. Before we say goodbye on this Friday, I wanted to show you a final check of the Futurecast. And because we are going to have this atmospheric river rolling in, and this is this morning, essentially Friday morning, and then we'll zoom ahead to Saturday morning. You see that low spinning off the coast of Washington, Oregon, and that's bringing even some rounds of heavier pockets of rain up to Northern California, but really soaking Washington, Western Washington, as well as west of the Cascades in Oregon, and it could be a bit on the stormy side. Looking over to Boise, you see how we'll get some breaks. This is Saturday evening, roughly 6 o'clock Pacific time, and you see still a good bit of rain and mountain snow starting to fall over Washington, Oregon, and then into Idaho as well. This is Sunday morning. You see still a bit sloppy Northern California along I-5, and then seeing potentially another band of some heavier rain off the coast of Oregon, Washington, some locally heavier rain as well, maybe even a thunderstorm or two. Then we get into Sunday night and things start to taper off west of the Cascades, but you see over eastern Washington, over toward Boise, and then over Colorado. That's when we start to see some more rain moving in and some lowering snow levels, and that would lead to some mountain snow. Before we go, once again, I wanted to show you the satellite and radar of what's happened over the last couple of hours in the Pacific Northwest. As you see that band of moisture stretching from the Pacific, now moving into Oregon. We have this low that's going to develop, and that's going to bring rounds of rain and some heavier rain. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center just released its day 2 severe weather outlook and putting portions of northern Oregon and far southern Washington, the southwestern portion of Washington, under a level 1 risk for severe weather into Saturday. And this is mainly for the risk for some severe wind gust, which would be over that 59 mile per hour range, so 60 mile per hour gusts. The chance is low, but not zero, as well as the potential for maybe a water spout pushing ashore along the northern Oregon coast. So that's going to be something to watch out for. So it's not just heavy rain, it's going to be maybe the risk for a thunderstorm. And once again, the snow levels going to be on the high side until we get through the day on Saturday and then eventually into Sunday. So be sure you check in with your station, whether it's in Sacramento, Portland, Boise, into Phoenix, Denver, and Spokane before you head out and you do anything special this weekend. Again, it is the final full weekend of October. Can you believe it? Next week, next Friday, a week from today, is Halloween. And so be sure you check in with your station, download that Plus app so you can stay up to date over the weekend. We'll all bring you the latest from Seattle to Denver, down to San Diego, Sacramento, and so on and so forth. We want to thank you so much for joining us on this Friday on Weather Out West. We'll see you again on Monday, hopefully with some better weather news for you, and as we get ready to head into the final week of October and heading into Halloween.